in the GMs of Detroit right now. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see if he just gets the boot or if he gets his head on straight, which is unlikely, and does something good for the team.
Yeah,
But
I am not expecting anything out of Alabama. Also, I'm doing this in my garage. Is there a huge echo? Because there is to me. But I don't know. Can you guys hear a huge echo?
not, I mean, not horribly. I mean,
Okay.
you can't really tell, but like you can tell it's like a different sound than your normal.
We're definitely in the
Voice.
garage. I got some boys coming. We're doing some retiling in the house. We're fixing it up, getting ready to sell it and move on. And it's it's a lot. It's a lot trying to get like countertops done, refacing done, tiling done, new carpet done,
He's doing all
painting
that at
done.
once.
I mean, we've been working at it for like the last like 4 months, you know what I mean? But the tiling, like we had the kitchen, the front way, and both bathrooms. So four things. They knocked out two, they're finishing up three, and then they got one more bathroom to go. But like, yeah, it's just hard. We got a bunch of people in our house basically. Family though, so it's always fun. It's fun when family's here.
Nice.
And let me tell you what, at one point they came down when the Tigers swept the Astros, right? Back in the day, we were 3-6. We swept the Astros. We got to 6-6.
Yep, yeah.
So the boys were here and we watched all three games, and it was like, holy crap, we are the good luck charm. Like, this is crazy. And they came back, and then we've lost like every game since they came back. So we weren't the good luck charm. But at first, it seemed like we were about to.
Well, you win some, you lose some. But in other news, have you guys been following this Dogecoin at all? And does anyone got a little Dogecoin?
No, but I saw that bumped up to 60 cents or whatever.
Yeah, it's 60 cents. It did.
Me and my wife bought quite a bit of it back when it was about 12 cents.
Nice. There you go, Julius.
So we've gotten very, very nice returns from it.
Yeah, that's when I bought it, right around like the 12-cent mark.
We're pretty conservative investors for the most part, but we happened to hear about it early, and it was cheap as H, so we took a shot, and it's been popping.
Yeah, man, dude, I could go back in my history log. I bought a share last year when it was at 0.04 of a cent. And it was $25 I bought a 0.04 of a share. And I want to say it would have equaled. So it's at like 50 cents right now, 50 to like 55. And it would have been $2,500 at 50 cents. So that would have been nice. But I did get back in. I did make some good amount of money, so I'm not too upset.
Do you invest a lot?
Yeah, a little bit. Normally, just safe stuff, Apple, all that good stuff. But yeah, man, the Doge to the moon. We'll see what Elon Musk can do on Saturday Night Live. Hopefully, he does a little Dogecoin skit. That would be excellent. But we have more important things to talk about on this show rather than Dogecoin. You guys know it. We had a killer draft. We're only going to be talking about our top three picks, first three rounds. So Sewell, Levi, not going to try his last name right now, and Aleem McNeil are going to be guys.
Oh my God, I can't even say his name. Ifeatu Melifonwu is a third rounder as well. Are we talking about him or
no? Was he? Okay,
yeah, he's a third rounder.
We can. Yeah, we can.
Come on, Adam. Weren't you watching the draft? What are we doing here?
I thought he was an early
amateurs. I don't know. Was he? God, maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he was, because we had two picks in the third round.
He was the 101. That's what he was.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. So he's like a hybrid third, fourth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Where does the cusp end?
We'll talk a little bit about him to end the show, and then we'll start up with him next week. So
there we go. All right.
That's the game plan. But all in all, little Lions news today. We did have Josh Hill. I guess he hasn't come out and officially made a statement that he retired, but Dave Burkett did tweet out that he believed that Josh Hill was retiring, which would make sense why we brought in Darren Fells for a workout. Fells, I think, would be an excellent replacement for Josh Hill. Very similar type player, run blocker, guy who can catch the ball, safe guy, good backup. And just a good team player. So Julius, any thoughts on Josh Hill retiring, bringing in Darren Fells? Think it would be good? Think we don't really need it, or what?
I mean, he never played a snap for us. He was getting up there in age. He does have an injury history. He was average at best for most of his time in New Orleans. It really makes me know, never mind. We wouldn't pay him a lot of money. I wish him the best. I guess it's time to see what kind of depth we can accumulate behind TJ Hawkinson. I think we waived, what's his name?
Hunter Bryant.
Hunter Bryant, the undrafted free agent from last season, who showed some signs of receiving ability.
True.
But I think Brad Holmes waived him. I don't know why, injuries were a big part of that or what. That's the reason he slipped in last year's draft. But we need to get somebody behind Hawkinson. And I wish Josh Hill the best. It really doesn't hurt us because we never saw him play.
Yeah, agreed. It was a guy that, was a Dan Campbell guy who he, brought in himself. So there was that little aspect of, maybe they had some sort of something going on there. But yeah, like you mentioned, Julius, no biggie there. I guess that's about it for Lions news. I mean, other than, we just keep signing undrafted free agents. We've literally been signing like one a day since the draft ended. Maybe more. Our recent one was a long snapper and guard. I don't even know their names, but we'll get to those guys tomorrow. I'll mention all the undrafted free agents we have signed up until next week, whatever day we're on. But the big boy, the big thing we want to talk about, Penei Sewell. Me and Julius took our victory laps. Oh, so sweet. We called it. We had that gut feeling. But I got to be honest, when the Dolphins were on the clock, I was 100% expecting them to take Sewell. I was just like, this is going to be a Lions-esque thing. They're going to take Sewell. We're going to take Devonta Smith or reach on Micah Parsons or whatever. It's just going to be a mess. We're going to get screwed. But luck was in our side, I guess. Maybe it's in the regime. I don't know, but we got Sewell. So, Nick, we'll let you start off with your comments, your first reaction. Yeah, so just give me your first reaction when we got Sewell. I know you were at a draft party, so tell me what the party was like going on there.
Good time. It was kind of a draft party for a sense for the boys, and we went to this thing. I don't know how many people are familiar, but a thing called bowling, right? So it's football, bowling, and you throw the football at the bowling pins, and it's super fun. They got axe throwing there. Good times had by all. But then the drafts obviously was going around. That's what most people were paying attention to. But their kids were there. Kids were there. I mean, axe throwing and kids were there. Believe me, they were in the same area. But it was just a really good time. So all the boys are sitting there watching, and everyone wanted Sewell. Everyone wanted him. I mean, that was the pick. You saw like a rejoice kind of come over, a wave of happiness, relief, sigh of relief, basically, before everyone that was paying attention, because we got the guy that we wanted. I mean, we did a draft show before the draft, the week before, and I tried to come up with every single possibility for us to trade out of that pick if Penei Sewell was on the board. I tried to throw like 6 picks at you guys, and no one was taking the bait. No one was taking. Everyone stood still, concrete feet, and decided that they wanted Penei Sewell because they believed in the foundation that we could build with them. The Lions thought the same thing, and it was awesome. So I'm going to break this down a few different ways. The pick was phenomenal. It's a great pick. It should be a great pick. The Lions should get a 10, 12-year starter out of this. That's what I'm expecting, and I don't expect anything less. I also expect him to be a game changer with Taylor Decker. I think Ragnow is a little fisherman, kind of softer spoken a little bit. I think Jonah Jackson's almost that same way. Now, I don't know. I'm not down in the trenches with him, but it seems like Taylor Decker is just a loudmouth, punchy in the face kind of guy. And I think him on one side and Sewell on the other, who's going to be very similar. I think that's just going to be fantastic for our run game, which is how we're going to win this year and moving forward. We're going to try to win like the Rams won with Todd Gurley, Jared Goff, similarity. We're going to try to do that. The way to do that is with a good offensive line. The Rams did it with a bad offensive line, just an extremely good running back. And they got lucky that Todd Gurley was extremely, extremely good and could hold his own. Without an offensive line, though, and no Todd Gurley, the Rams wouldn't have done anything. So what we're going to do is try to build this offense to run through and funnel through DeAndre Swift. All of that is fantastic for why we drafted Penei Sewell. But the biggest thing about drafting Penei Sewell, the reaction that Brad Holmes had. Boys, did we see this?
Yes.
Holy moly, he was running around slapping tables. He almost like gave Sheila Ford Hamp like a tombstone.
The guy.
He almost tackled Dan Campbell. And that's hard to do. That dude is jacked. Like, come on. I swear to God, I almost saw him go for a kneecap. I promise you, I saw Brad Holmes go for it. I think I did. I'll have to slow it down. But here's the thing, like that reaction, that's exciting. Because you would have never seen Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia, even if we got the guy that we want, TJ Hockenson, we wanted him all along and he fell to us. You'd have never seen that reaction. He'd have been sitting there with his baseball bat, you know what I mean? Bob Quinn smirking, like, what a douche, dude. Come on. I hate that guy. But Brad Holmes just like wears his emotions on his sleeve. So does Dan Campbell. They were excited. Sheila Ford Hamp didn't know what to think while Brad Holmes was running around slapping things. She was just trying to talk to Penei. Penei leading the freaking Oregon tribe, or the freaking Hawaiian tribe in that chant is just like, it gets me chills.
Haka.
I get that. What is it? I'm sorry.
The Haka.
The Haka. Thank you. That's exciting. Like, I'm so on board. I could like, I'm going to try to wrap this up because we probably lost all our viewers because I just won't stop rambling about this. But I'm so ecstatic about this pick. Like, I absolutely love it. I truly, truly do.
Yeah, 100%. And before we get to you, Julius, I'll say a couple of quick things. And yeah, Nick, you mentioned it perfectly. This dude is like, he's going to be a leader. He's the guy that will comment because Jared Goff isn't going to rile up a team, but Sewell will get in that offense and just go, this is our drive, scream in someone's face, slap a face mask, and geek everyone up for a game-winning drive. And I think that's the type of confidence that Goff needs. And a good line, it gives Goff, extra, reassurance that he's not going to get pummeled. It just makes the whole offense feel a little bit better. And even Ragnow, I think he's going to be loving this because now whenever he goes to double team any team that's running a 4-3 on us, he's either double teaming with Decker or double teaming with Sewell. So that's easy money right there.
I just had something come to me too, and I'm like right now in movies and everything and music, we're bringing back the '90s and the 2000s, and we're like trying to reinvent it, right? We're bringing back the nostalgic effect. I'm bringing back the grind line, and I'm calling our offensive line right now. I'm coining it. I'm hashtagging it. It's the grind line because our offensive line is about to grind and grind and grind and grind. It's going to be so dirt. It's going to be McCarty. It's going to be Draper. It's going to be Joe Kosher, Bob Probert, just the beasts of the beasts. And I cannot wait to watch our offensive line.
It's going to be fun stuff, man. And then one last thing, Dan Campbell. Here's a quote from him. He said, this is one tough dude who knows how to play nasty and protect the quarterback. And then my favorite quote from Penei Sewell himself. He said, I'm coming off the ball every play with violent intentions. And so you just love to hear a football player say that, know that he's ready to just jab someone right in the face right off the start. He gets the first, hands on the player because he knows the count, and it's going to be fun. Now, Julius, let's hear it, man.
Fellas, that was the most impactful Lions draft choice, I would say, since Matthew Stafford for the Lions. And the reaction from Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, that live footage, that 2 or 3 minute phone call, the reaction afterwards, Sheila Ford Hamp in there, it was just amazing. The reason that they reacted in that fashion was because they know they drafted a perennial All-Pro. And anybody who has watched Penei Sewell's tape from the year before last, when he won the Outland Trophy at the University of Oregon, he was the most dominant. He put on the most dominant offensive lineman performance in college football history. Literally, by the numbers, by the eye test, by everything. He dominated his opponents on the other side of the ball. The Lions may very well, if not this year, next year, definitely have the best, if not one of the best offensive line in football. And that's going to have a huge impact. I'm just ready to see a DeAndre Swift. I'm ready to see what screen plays they come up with in this offense. Because Panay Sewell, Taylor Decker, and Frank Ragnow in the open field are going to be pummeling people, and it's going to be exciting to watch. And I'm really excited. I mean, as far as offensive line to go with TJ Hawkinson, we got 4 first-round picks in the next 2 seasons, fellas. So if to pick up a guy like Sewell in the first round this year as like a building block, it's perfect. It's perfect. He was number 1 on my big board all off season. I was just thrilled. I was so happy. I was jumping around the house like we're going to the playoffs or winning the Super Bowl. That's how thrilled I was. Lions fans should be excited.
Go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead. Okay, I was gonna say the best thing about Panay Sewell. I was just gonna say the best thing about Panay Sewell, one of many, is this shows when you build a house, right? You don't put in your window first, right? You don't put in the awesome interior first. You don't put in your brand new Ferrari. You have to build a foundation. And it seems like for the last 20, 30 years, the Lions have had a very rocky foundation, but would throw duct tape over it, but put in a brand new skylight, right? They would go out and draft this flashy pick that had nothing to do with actually building a house. And it was kind of all right when you first looked at it, but once you walked into the house, it almost crumbled beneath you. And what I think we're doing now with the addition of Sewell, the addition of the 2 defensive tackles we'll get into, is we're building the foundation. You have to lay your foundation down. You have to lay your boards down. You have to build that house from the inside out. And that's exactly how a football team should be built. Do not try to put your Ferrari in your garage before your garage is even built. That's bad.
I love that analogy, Nick. And we've seen it too many times on Twitter or wherever with memes of you'll see the sweet Ferrari, Lamborghini, or whatever parked in this, weird shed of a teeny tiny house. And you're like, this is a funny picture. But yeah, this is Barry Sanders with the Lions. This is Calvin Johnson with the Lions. This is Matthew Stafford with the Lions. You have elite players with no foundation, but now we're building a big old beautiful house, and we already got it started. We got a big old garage, and the project's in the works. So we got Decker, who's 27, Ragnow 25, Jonah Jackson 24, and Sewell not even legal to drink yet at 20. So the future is bright. Ooh. Decker 3 years till he's 30, so he's still got 3 years at least. Ragnow, Jackson, Sewell, all young as can be, and this line is going to be dominant.
So about this line, I mean, obviously you have to assume Panay is a plug and play at right tackle, right? We're not going to really mess around with the left side of the ball. I think we've got a pretty good chemistry thing building. So that brings up the right guard position. We have last year's draft pick, the sophomore this year, Logan Sternberg. Last year's big free agent move, Big V, who did not impress at all at any games. And then you had last half of this season, big F, yeah, exactly, bro. And then you have last half of the season standout Tyrell Crosby, 5th round pick a couple years ago. Of those 3 guys, are we banging the table for anyone to play right guard specifically? Are we hoping we still add someone? Are we hoping there's a UDFA that kind of steps up? In my respects, I would love to see Logan really take the muscle there. It's kind of what we drafted him to be, that position. But it was a late draft pick, and I'm not going to fault him if he can't step up. And as much as I think Tyrell Crosby is a very good player, I think Big V honestly should step into that right guard position. Me personally, I know a lot of people are thinking Tyrell Crosby would be moved there because he looked like a better offensive lineman overall. But I think looking at it schematically, you need him to play. Now he's our depth on both tackle sides. Let's let Big V step in there, and we'll just have like the biggest, baddest offensive line if Big V can really step up. That's just who I was thinking. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, and then essentially, if we don't go Sewell, we draft whoever else. There's pretty much 2 open spots in the offensive line. Now Sewell comes in, he takes up a tackle spot, which could have been Big V. I know we talked about moving him to guard, but he was a tackle, so he could have been him, could have been Crosby, whoever. But now we're down to 1 right guard spot, so it's going to be interesting to see who gets it. I'm glad that The pressure's on. The players know they need to step up, and I don't think we need to add too much more. I think we did add a bunch of undrafted free agents of offensive line, but all in all, even if we have a weak link at right guard, Jackson, Decker, Sewell, and Ragnow are enough to compensate for that.
Julius?
That's another good thing about drafting Penei Sewell. The right guard position now, it gets more competition, and we're really gonna get the best player out of the bunch. There's a bunch. You got Vitae, who we're paying a lot of money. He's got starter level money. He's shown that he could be a dominant run blocker. He just can't pass block on the outside. So moving him to right guard may help him. And then we have Tyrell Crosby. I see our buddy Connor in the chat mentioned the Oregon chemistry with him and Penei. That's a great point, Connor. Tyrell Crosby, if he comes out of training camp in the preseason as the presumed best option at right guard, I have no problem with that. And then you have Logan Sternberg. We saw some very, very nasty tape on him when he was coming out of the draft out of Kentucky last season. And I would like to see, him and Penei on that right side, turn that right side to something serious. DeAndre Swift if he can stay healthy, he should have a great season next year. He really should. In the running game and the passing game, because our offensive line, I'm telling you, I'm just so excited about getting Penei. We can go with anybody at right guard. I'm not even worried about it right now. Honestly, fight for it in training camp, fight for it in preseason. Crosby, Vitae, Logan Sternberg, a UDFA. Best player takes the spot. I'm all cool with it.
Yeah, and then one more thing before we get on to our next guys. Sewell, one thing I loved about him is he was totally like in love that the Lions drafted him, which is very rare. He grew up a Lions fan, kind of, I guess. I don't know how big of a Lions fan he was because he just said he loved to play as them in Madden. So I don't know if he heavily followed the team, but I can imagine he did a little bit. So said he grew up a Lions fan, loved playing with them on Madden. You saw his reaction when he was drafted. He was equally as pumped up as Brad Holmes, and that was just awesome to see. As where last year, Jeff Okudah, I'm not so much sure he embraced it. I know obviously he loved to be drafted by the Lions. It was a good thing, but he did not show the emotion that Penei Sewell showed. And that's just awesome to see with, a guy who could have been drafted top 5, falls to the Lions and is ecstatic to be there. You got to love it.
Can I mention something real quick about Penei? Go back to the phone call when Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell specifically, that video when they called Penei, when they drafted him, before they even sent the pick in, they couldn't even wait. Dan Campbell, I don't know, but when he was talking to Penei, telling him he was going to be the building block, everything that they want out of the team starts with him. He's going to lead us. And I believe Dan Campbell. I believed him. Like I feel like I could see how the team could rally around him. And it just makes me think that maybe that was a great choice of a head coach.
And then, one final thing, I keep bringing up final things, but this will be the last one. What Sewell does for us and what this awesome offensive line and, having Hockenson and Swift and, I know we're weak on the wide receivers, but you can always sign a stud wide receiver free agent. So what this does for us is next year, when we're looking at rookie quarterbacks, I can't imagine a rookie quarterback wouldn't want to come to Detroit, play behind this elite offensive line with an elite running back and possibly some solid wide receivers and a very, very good tight end. So I think it's going to make, quarterbacks be on board with the Lions and not just be more of, I'm not going to Detroit. I want to go to, sunny LA or, Miami or wherever. So I think there's that aspect too, but all in all,
actually, and just one more thing on Penei Sewell. Because, we do got to save some stuff for the next, 20 episodes before the season really starts. But one of the last thing is something that I really like is football is ingrained in me. Dad, been a football coach for 30 years. Uncles, professional football players. Brothers, one plays at Oregon, one plays at Utah, one plays at Utah State, I'm pretty sure. Just family-fueled football. And that's awesome. That is someone who will not take his stuff for granted. So I'm excited as heck about Sewell. Let's just have the whole show about Penei Sewell. That's all we're talking about.
We easily could, man. This guy's great. I the only person that had a problem with Sewell was the Detroit Free Press writers and our boy Carlos out there.
Carlos
Posted clickbait,
the worst
clickbait articles, but this was a pick that like the Lions regime was in on, the fans were in on, and like the players were in on, and that's you don't see that all the time. So that is awesome. Sure. But let's move on to our next freakishly big player that we drafted, and that's Levi. Let me get this right. Onwuzurike. Is that right? Onwuzurike.
I go Levi Onwuzurike. Onwuzurike.
All right.
I could be wrong though. I don't know, but that's why I heard announcers say it, and I listened to it a bunch.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, okay. Seems easy. It's better than trying to pronounce the W.
Exactly. I cut the W out. Maybe it's in there, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm cutting it out.
Anyway,
it's easier for my tongue.
Stud defensive tackle from Washington. Another guy with a great quote, and I say this exactly how he did. He goes, "I like fucking people up. I like to push offensive linemen back and make them feel like shit." And so, excuse my language, but man, oh man, when you hear your defensive tackle say that, you're like, whoo, this boy's got some anger in him. This man wants to punch a wall every day. Like you could tell he doesn't play around. He's always, aggressive. He's that guy that does that extra push, that extra just little thing on the ground. This gives me Ndamukong Suh mentality. He might not be as, big and physical as Suh because Suh was a freak, but he has the potential. A 6'2", 290 defensive tackle. He was a former no, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's Lee McNeil, who was the former linebacker. But yes, 6'2", 290, had a 4% missed tackle rate, lowest among 2021 prospects. So he knows how to make a tackle. And my personal favorite, he posted a hilarious use of a SpongeBob meme today about him embracing being a Lion. So love him for that. He could be a funny guy too. He does have some weaknesses on pass rush, but with Okora and Flowers on the outside, have no problem with that. He's more of a run stopper type plug guy. And I think he's going to pair very, very well with Brockers. Those two dudes inside, and then Okora outside, Flowers outside. I think we're going to have a pretty good defensive line. So, Julius, give me some of your thoughts on Levi.
Funny how one season can change, because last year at the end of the last season, we had one of the worst defensive lines in the league. Now it's shaping up to look really interesting. I'm not going to make any calls on it because, I got to see it first. But bringing Okwara back with his brother, Julian Okwara, Trey Flowers, and I'm going to call him Levi. I'm not even going to attempt his last name right now. I like Levi a lot. I'll learn his last name, but I had a first round grade on him. So did a lot of other people.
Chris Sims, number one defensive tackle.
Yeah. A lot of people say he's the number one. And the reason for that is because he is explosive off the snap. And when I say explosive, I mean explosive and violent and nasty. And he can provide some pressure definitely up the middle. I'm very, very excited to see him. And the new rookie, I'm sure we're going to talk about Alan McNeil. Both of those. Alan McNeil is a different type of player, though, as we're going to talk about. But as far as Levi O, I was very happy with that pick. Now we passed on a couple players that I like. Jeremiah
Owusu, Karamoa.
We talked about last week's episode. I was saying I was a guy, that was a guy I liked in the second round for the Lions. Nick wasn't too much a fan of it, but either way, they passed on him. They also passed on some receivers that were on the board that could have, helped them out. But all in all, defensive tackle was a need. Nick Williams and Deshaun Hand has improved enough to me. And Michael Brockers is going to need – the Lions' defensive line is shaping up to look like a strength, just like the offensive line. They're building in the trenches, and I am pretty happy about it. I am. You're probably not going to hear too much negativity on my end about this draft. That was also an A grade for me.
Yeah, he was a guy that I didn't have him really, on my draft. I should say on my draft because I don't really have draft board, but he wasn't the guy that I was really looking at day two. Didn't know a whole lot about him, so that could have been why. But after we made the pick and I saw his quotes, looked into some of his stats, saw the player he was, I was all in. This was a Brad Holmes / Dan Campbell pick. I think this was more of Dan Campbell saying like, "Oh, this guy, so he's a bad man. If you like Sewell, this guy is a defensive Sewell, just as good." And I should say just as good, but you know what I mean. So, he very physical guy, and I think he will pair up very well with Michael Prockers. Right now, the Our Lads depth chart, probably not official, has John Pensanini and as our starting defensive tackle. So that will be interesting to see what goes on with him. He opted out last year, so he will be back healthy and ready to go. So we got some good rotation at defensive tackle. So Nick, what was your first reaction on Levi?
Well, I was happy about this. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you want to build in the trenches. This defensive tackle pick is exactly how you do that. It really, really is. Levi Onwuzurike is a very talented run stopper, gap filling, beast moving player. The dude doesn't rest, right? He's relentless. His pass rush, like you alluded to, could use work, but that's not what we're going to use him for. I mean, I'm not expecting him to be a Ndamukong Suh and come out his rookie year and have 10 sacks, right? That's just not what we're going to get. Also, I believe what we're going to be setting up is more so in a 3-4 base, meaning of these defensive tackles that we're going to be fluctuating between Brockers, Penasini, Ali McNeil, who we'll get to, Onwuzurike, which I'm going to say very slowly until about September when I feel comfortable saying it. But then what, Deshaun Hand, like we have a ton of defensive tackles per se, as you would call
Nick
it.
Williams too.
Nick Williams too. So if we really are running a 3-4 base and not like a 4-2-5, or it's going to be interesting. That's a lot of mouths to feed at that one position. So I like it. I really do. Do I think we probably could have used a safety more? Do I think a safety like Trevor Moehrig would have been a plug-and-play starter immediately? Yes. Do I think our secondary is still not as deep as I wanted? Do I think our safeties are still very iffy? And do I think our cornerbacks, even with the additional Corn Edler and Quentin Dunbar, are still risky? Yeah. Now, our secondary is going to improve if we can get to the quarterback quicker. Our secondary is going to improve if we can stop the run better. That's what Levi does. He helps by doing his position, his work. It helps the secondary. So I get that. But we also just brought in Brockers. Penasini looks really good. He really does. I mean, I get we want to bring in defensive tackles. I get it. But it just seems like we could have. I didn't want a wide receiver. I wanted any position. I would have taken another offensive line. In fact, I would have loved another offensive line. I would have taken anything but a wide receiver. However, I do think safety and even cornerback and even linebacker, even if it was Owusu Karamoa, all could have been plug-and-play starters. I'm not sure Onwuzurike is a plug-and-play starter. I'm just not positive at that. I think he'll be a great rotational piece and depth piece and should start, I guess. Just because you're drafted in the second round, though, doesn't mean nothing. Julian Okoro was drafted in the third round last year and barely played. Now, again, it was with Patricia, so it's different. But I just think we could have drafted someone to fill a hole that was much more needed than this defensive tackle. Though I like it, right? I like the foundation. I'm not trying to like push this as a bad pick. I really am not. I just wouldn't grade it an A. And I hope Levi comes out. I hope he hears this because that would be awesome that he's listening. But I hope that he goes out there and gets motivated and does put up like a record high 5-6 sacks, a career high for him. He's never had more than 3 in Washington. So I mean, if he could go out and get 5-6 sacks, that would be good. But ultimately, what I need him to be like Snacks was the last half of the season we traded for him. That season when he came in, our rush defense went from like 30th to like 5th. And because Snacks just filled that hole. And hopefully Levi can do that. Hopefully Brockers, all these guys can play that game. I do like the pick. I got to see him at the Senior Bowl for a day. He only played one day there, but he was awesome. A beast. You could hear the pads rip when he went to hit. Didn't really get beat ever. At least I don't remember a rep that he got beat. So I mean, good news, exciting news. I like the player. I like the pick via foundation, via the Lions, via drafting for the future. But a safety is really what I wanted, and the safety that I wanted was there, and we missed it.
All I gotta say is at least it wasn't a Jelani Tavai or something crazy like that. But
well, yeah, for sure. At least, yeah, it's not like a huge stretch, but
he's got a little more
Quick,
potential.
Nick,
don't jinx him.
Harrison, you mentioned we could use a Damon Harrison season. I think we would more so get that out of McNeil before we get that from Levi. Oh, Levi, he's a little leaner. I think he's around 290, 295. He's more like a 3 technique in the vein of Deshaun Hen and Kevin Strong and a few of the other guys they got. Pinsanini will be with McNeil right there at the nose tackle. You're right. They might be in a 3-4 base. But Michael Brockers is our number one guy in the middle. And it's just, I see it the same way I see the offensive line. That other defense, those other defensive tackle spots, those inside spots is just going to be a major competition in camp in the preseason. And the best player who comes out of that, I'm gonna be excited about, and could very well be Levi O.
I just don't know. Is that what we needed to address then? Adding more depth to the defensive tackle position.
You think building in the trenches is important when you're rebuilding? I mean, yes, but
which I do.
I think the secondary, adding depth to the secondary was. I mean, you could go either way in that second round. Honestly, you could have made an argument for a receiver, even though you didn't want one. You could have made an argument that it would have been good to get one. So, we didn't draft a kicker. We didn't draft. We didn't draft another tight end in the second round. Any of those things. We didn't draft a Kyle Trask, a quarterback.
Yeah, but one thing I will say is what I think Brad Holmes was thinking when he made the defense tackle or Dan Campbell pick is that I think that we're putting our chips on Jeff Okudah being a elite stud, a lockdown cornerback one, a guy who can shut down a complete side and doesn't really need help. Because right now we got Will Harris as our strong safety, and then we still have Tavai starting at linebacker. And those are two guys that should not be starters. They should be backups, if anything. Will Harris showed he's a little more potential than Tavai. But Tavai, we need to get him out here.
Who's our other safety? Why am I drawing about Tracy Walker?
Tracy Walker's our free safety. And then behind them, we have Dean Marlowe is a backup behind Tracy Walker, and then CJ Moore is behind Will Harris. So
what are we talking about right now? Our safeties are terrible. Will Harris and Tracy Walker are terrible, and they are our 2 starters. You cannot convince me that taking a defensive tackle was smarter than taking a safety, in my opinion. Though you want to build in the trenches, a hard-hitting safety, as we all know, can make an impact on a team,
We're going to talk about that corner we drafted from Syracuse. There's some talks that Holmes sees him as a sort of a cornerback safety hybrid.
Okay, then let's hold off on the safety conversation until we get there. All right, I'm okay with that. Because our safeties suck. But let's talk about elite.
One more thing before we get to him. What was I going to say? So next year, I think this makes it pretty clear that we're going to go heavy secondary with that Rams pick, because it's likely going to be 15 to 32 range, back half of the first round. And we're probably not going to spend our likely top 10 pick on a safety. I mean, maybe we would, maybe there's some elite safeties or linebackers out there. I'm not sure what the prospects are looking like, but I feel like we might go luxury, like wide receiver early, like we would have this year, and then safety later on. But let's get on to our next defensive tackle. We want back-to-back defensive tackles. I think that did give a little bit of surprise to a few people, just because Levi was a bit not a shock, but kind of like a statement pick of we want to build this defensive line up, and then we double down on it, I guess. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it could be interesting because, like you said, Nick, we got a weak secondary. So teams that have a big pass air raid, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, hopefully knock on wood, he's not even there to face us. And then, Andy Dalton / Justin Fields. So it'll be interesting. See what our defensive line could do. But Aleem McNeil, defensive tackle out of NC State, 6'2", 320 pounds, 315 around there. Two things I love about one, the Eagles were, and not a bunch of teams, but a couple other teams were very, very pissed off when we took him. The Eagles were in particular. There's a whole video of Howie Roseman pumped up because what guy he got, they tried to wait to get Aleem McNeil. And when the Lions took McNeil, the pick right before the Eagles, you saw a little bit of tension going on in which it was like their main scouting director, some guy high up in the Eagles organization, wanted McNeil before the Lions took him, but I think they traded out or took someone else and tried to get him after the Lions picked, but obviously we took him. So McNeil is our guy. I was thinking this was Levi, but this was McNeil. He was a 270-pound linebacker / running back in high school. So this is a guy that has good hands, is pretty, I should say fast, but has good footwork and can move. He fits a 3-4 or a 4-3 scheme. I compare him to a Nick Fairley type guy, a rotational guy that, he's a big boy, so he's not going to be in 24/7. But when he does come in, he's going to be impactful, help out. And, like I mentioned, good hands, athletic. He was a 3-time all-conference baseball player as well. So he's just an athlete. I like this guy. I think if we knew we were getting him at whatever pick this was, our 3rd round pick, I think our 2nd round pick of Levi might have been a little different. So Nick, what are some of your first thoughts on Aleem McNeil?
My first thought was, woof, all right, we definitely did not need 2 defensive tackles in the first 3 rounds. Like, we had a lot of positions to fill. I'm glad we're doing the trenches, but holy cow. But it's Aleem McNeil, and I get that. He's freaking awesome. 40 rushing touchdowns in high school. 40 rushing touchdowns. Like you said, Adam, he's quick on his feet. Kid's awesome. Superstar baseball player. Can hit a home run farther than Cecil Fielder could dream of. This kid is an athlete, and I love it. I'm all about Aleem McNeil. I think he's going to add a lot of – I think he's going to be a little bit more like, I don't know, Ndamukong Suh, I don't want to say dirty, but like aggressive player. You know what I mean? Like, he's just going to be aggressive, and it's going to be so much fun. He's going to become a household name. Like, I cannot wait to see this kid. My favorite thing about this pick was this is the first player we picked that played last year. And I think not playing a year of football, you lose hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reps. You lose so many game time reps and game time scenarios and game time plays from sitting out. And I get why everyone sat out. I get it. I'm not saying anything negative about that. But what my negativity is that I didn't want a draft full of people who sat out in 2020. Because that's gonna result in a lot of rust. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of rust.
And I agree. This is also a thing, you can't compare like hardly at all, because there was never years of where players got to take a full year off and their draft stock was essentially the same. So
if not better, yeah.
Yeah, or even got better. So it's interesting. I guess you could spin it as, well, their body got less wear and tear. Hopefully they were working out, becoming, bigger, more athletic. But likely, if you're a college player taking a full year off and you already know you're going pro, I can't imagine you were working out insanely much, probably, to your normal routine. But I definitely think playing would have been more beneficial than, saving your body and not playing. So, Julia.
Yeah, for 30-year-olds, real quick, for 30-year-olds, I think taking the year off is absolutely beneficial. But for a 23-year-old, 22-year-old, 21, 20, no, it's not that needed. I'd like that Aleem McNeil is a 3-year. I don't think he redshirted. Freshman, sophomore, junior, out. And that's awesome. Dude is just a beast, and it's going to show up on Sundays. I cannot wait. And I'm calling him Slim, by the way. His nickname is Slim McNeil. because every time you go to type in Aleem, it's gonna autocorrect to Slim. So anytime we go to type in Aleem, it's gonna become Slim McNeil. And instead of changing it and getting all frustrated with autocorrect, we're just coining the nickname Slim McNeil. Starting here, boys, you heard it first. Slim McNeil.
Hey, Slim's a Detroit name, so maybe it can be the new Slim Shady. That could be his nickname. We could dub it here on the podcast. Slim Shady McNeil. So Julius.
Slim Shady and Slim McNady. You know what I mean?
Slim,
all right, quick, get me off. Get me off the air.
I love it. Julius, what were you thinking? Did you think we need another defensive tackle or what?
I actually like Alan McNeil a lot, or Slim McNeil as we're calling him. He is built kind of like Pincinini. Actually, he's shorter for a defensive tackle. I think he's like 6'1", 6'1.5". He's big. He's gonna be a nose tackle in our defense. He's gonna play the nose. He's gonna be the point of attack in the middle of our defense. I mean, if you think that building a dominant defensive line is a key to rebuilding one of the worst defenses of all time, I'm cool with that, Dan Campbell. I'm cool with that, Brad Holmes. Go ahead and dominate the line of scrimmage, and I hope that helps the linebackers, and I hope that helps our young and our young improving secondary. So I was cool with it, honestly. All the way up, the only pick I really like super second guessed was the last one.
Yeah, and then one thing I will say why I don't mind going double defensive tackle is the Lions have had a history of just getting mangled by stud running backs. We've seen Adrian Peterson run all over us, Dalvin Cook run all over us, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, the list goes on. And now we have David Montgomery, Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Jones stuck in the NFC North for at least the next 3 to 5 years. Aaron Jones re-signed. Montgomery is playing well to get a 5th-year contract or option picked up, and Dalvin Cook just re-signed as well. So we're going to need to stop those guys. And, seeing a running back absolutely destroy your team like we did, we saw Aaron Jones, Dalvin Cook do it. It's tough, but, I will say it is tough, seeing an air raid go off on your team too. But for me,
still got to hit those run gaps, though.
That's true. That is very true.
We still have Jelani Tavai starting at linebacker, so I don't think we're hitting any gaps, boys. None whatsoever.
At least Davis is gone.
And here to save the day in Detroit. Derek Barnes is here to save the day.
Hey, we are going to get to him next week, so that'll be an interesting
teaser.
Yeah, teaser. But before we wrap up, Ali McNeil and get to Ifeatu Melifonwu,
another fun name.
A great name. We couldn't have just drafted the Joe Smiths of the world, the Pete Parkers. You know what I mean? We had to draft freaking Anzurike and Melifonwu.
Yeah, for real, man. Our first 5 guys have some unique names. Penisul, Levi Anzurike, whatever. Ali McNeil, Ifeatu Melifonwu, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I cannot wait to talk about him next week. That's a great teaser.
Another teaser. I just saw this. He, I guess, is set to be our kick returner and punt returner. So that will be interesting to see. He's an athletic freak.
We can't get into this yet. No.
Next week.
Save that to next week.
Let's talk a little about Ifeatu, cornerback from Syracuse. Julius, you mentioned he could possibly move into that safety role. I wouldn't be surprised that either Syracuse did list him as a hybrid cornerback / safety. Not sure if he played safety at all. I haven't really watched much of his tape, but all in all, this adds a little bit depth to our secondary. I think going, it is a round 3 pick, but it was like the end of round 3. It was pick 101 was that Rams pick. So it was kind of like an early 4th. So waiting that long to go secondary is interesting. I will say, because we waited this long, the Lions are like locked and loaded to have no more than like 3 wins. I think teams will get an idea of our secondary and just pick us apart. But coming next year, we address the secondary, build it up. We could be legit contenders come 2023. So, Nick, Ifietu, what do you think about him?
Many things, but before I get into them, the Homer Adam Stark just threw out a guaranteed 3-win prediction there. And I'm kind of shocked. I'm pretty sure by the time our season prediction show comes around, Adam's gonna have us going like 14-3.
If Rodgers leaves, though, if he leaves,
the Lions win the Super Bowl.
Honestly, I think we could beat the Packers because they will be so shell shocked and so just like
he's not leaving. Don't even. There's no reason. No, that's not happening. Guarantee. I'll guarantee it right now on the show. He's not leaving this year. But the fact is, first and foremost, I had to reach out to a few Washington friends, kind of, go underground, or not Washington. I'm sorry, what I just said. Some New York friends, excuse me, go underground and figure out how we want to, call or like say Ifietu Melifonwu, which is one of the coolest names ever, by the way. His first name reminds me of like a young Frankenstein like character. Ifietu. But they say
like Nosferatu.
Nosferatu. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's 100% what I was thinking. They call him Iffy. I don't know if I like that nickname because his play better be a lot more than Iffy. Right? I don't want this guy to be an iffy player. But I like the nickname if he can be a beast, because there's a lot of fun wordplay that you could have with that nickname. So if he should be a good player, he should be standing, as Julius was saying, we might be seeing him kind of play in a unique position, and we'll see him maybe bounce around a little bit, try to see where we can play him at. He was a 3rd round grade in my book. We got him in the late 3rd round. I'll take it. We needed secondary addition. We needed cornerbacks. As much as I went off on how much I loved Corn Edler, I don't know about Quentin Dunbar. I don't know if Okuda is going to step up. I don't know if Amanio is going to continue the rate of play that he was at. Like, my secondary is still risky to me. I don't believe in our safeties. I don't believe in the depth of our safeties. I don't believe in the coverage of our linebackers. All this is not good. This is not good if we want to try to be better than the worst defense in the history of the NFL.
Which we were last year.
Exactly. So adding the defense tackles is nice because you get pressure to the quarterback. Everyone gets better, and that's awesome. I do like that, and I do like Iffy. I do think he's gonna be a good cornerback, but I don't expect much this year. Right? I'm not expecting him to step in and be an amazing starter or anything of that nature this year. It's just, it takes time as a cornerback in the NFL, especially in today's day in the NFL. The cornerback, in my opinion, is the hardest position to play in the NFL. You get flagged for everything. You never get flags for you. And you're put out on this like island to just sit here and cover Devontae Adams of the world and Julio Jones of the world, DK Metcalf. So it's just it's a really risky way to earn your money. But we needed depth. I really do like that we drafted cornerback in the first 3 rounds, where even if it was the last one, I do like Iffy, like I said. But ultimately, I don't have much expectations for him.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same. I think he'll be more of a role player, kind of, when Okuda, Amani needs a break, needs, or Lions are up by, 20 points, if that does ever happen.
Well, here's real quick. I just want to say, if he has 3 interceptions in college, did we know that? 3 interceptions in college. That's history, like his career. So he's not a ball hawk. You know what I mean? He's not going to be a big pick guy. It's just not what's going to happen. A couple good notes of Iffy, though, before Julius jumps in here. Trained with Devonta Smith all offseason this year. Awesome. Brothers with Obi Melifonwu. I believe he's a free agent, but obviously was an NFL player. And he almost had a tie to Michigan as the Wolverines came knocking on his door late in his recruitment before he went to Syracuse. He almost signed with the University of Michigan. Hail to the victors. I do not like Michigan, though. Anyways, I just feel like those are a couple cool notes. Figured we should all know that moving forward.
I will say, before we get to Julius, his first year, he only played 4 games. Second year, only played 9 games. And then third year, played 10 games. So he's only got 23 games under his belt, 3 interceptions, 23 games. It's not the best, still kind of, bad. But he did have 2 in 9 games and then 1 in 10. And I guess the 2 in 9, not horrible.
I don't think you're building a case there for him,
I'm
but
trying to help out and make our picks look better than they are. But what I think is he was a value pick. I think he was a high to mid third round guy, and we essentially got him at early fourth. So all in all, good value pick. I think he'll contribute one way or another. And then also one last thing. We are gonna hopefully, knock on wood, get a preseason to see all these guys play. So it's gonna be interesting to see these rookies. That's when they'll get their biggest shot. And another thing, I think Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are all about giving everyone a shot. They know this team's not going to the playoffs, so they want to see who's got talent and who's going to produce it. So if he gets a shot, maybe he does something, maybe not. But Julius, quick reactions on Ifietu.
Nosferatu. Oh wait, no, wrong guy. Sorry.
Iffy. I like him a lot. He was he was not a ball hawk in terms of interceptions, but he had a heck of a lot of pass breakups. He's a former receiver. He was a standout receiver in high school. He came to Syracuse as an athlete. They made the permanent switch to corner. He played safety here and there. He's big. He's 6'3", I believe, 205. And he can tackle. That's one of his main strengths. He does come downhill and lay the wood down on opposing running backs and receivers. His tackling might be his best strength. But like I said, he does have a lot of pass breakups. They didn't result in interceptions, but he does know how to locate the ball. He has promise as his ball skills have promise, I would say. He's not totally lost in the sauce as far as hopeless of getting interceptions in the NFL. I see this pick the same way I see the two defensive tackles in a way. It seems Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are capitalizing on creating depth on defense. And right now, the cornerbacks, we have Jeff Okudah, who I still, and I'm sure many Lions fans still have much hope that he comes and becomes who he's supposed to be when we drafted him, which is a shutdown all-pro corner with the 3rd overall pick. I hope that pick was not a waste and he lives up to that. But otherwise, we have Omani O. We got Corn Elder, who we picked up. He's a slot guy. We're adding Iffy. We added Quentin Dunbar, just bodies. And out of this, something has to come. Competition. Like you said, Adam, they're creating an environment where they want to see who is, going to help them become a winning football team. And so I don't have a problem with this pick at all. There were some mocks that had him going in the top of the in the bottom of the first round, early second. And there were some mocks of him going late third, early fourth, where we got him. A lot of people said he was a steal. I like it. I graded this pick out at a B+. I know I said a lot. But I'm just ready to see these guys in the preseason. They only 3 preseason games. I'm ready to see them in action. I'm ready to see the Dan Campbell era in live action.
Over or under Iffy catching 5 footballs as a wide receiver this year? Top-rated wide receiver in high school, Adam said. The best wide receiver to set foot on earth, Adam said.
Under.
I'm joking, but do we think we add him in? We don't have any wide receivers. We have Khalif Raymond,
not Jamal Agnew.
I mean, what if one of our wide receivers gets injured? Who are we going to set in?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
We got Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got Quinton.
Amon-Ra.
Sage Surratt.
We have Brashad Perriman.
Ooh,
we got
fun fact to Sage Surratt. I'm at the Senior Bowl. Some guy goes up to me and he says, Sage Surratt's going to be a 3rd-round draft pick or better. Said, I'll bet you $5 right now Sage Surratt is not a top 3rd-round draft pick. He went undrafted and then got signed to my team. Just an ultimate knife twist. I was like, yeah, give me that money.
A double dipper right there.
That's a double. That's right. That's right. I love Sage. I'm rooting for Sage Surratt now.
We're going to talk about that too. They picked up some good UDFAs.
I know tomorrow or next week, we have a lot of people to talk about. I feel we have a lot of people.
We definitely do. But before we hop off, my buddy Connor made a great point. Our defensive coach is a secondary minded head coach, Aaron Glenn. So he's a guy who I think could, maybe work up some of these secondary players, improve them a little bit more than, a heavily, I should say like defensive line or linebackers coach would, but I think he's a defensive back and has worked in that field. So he knows it better. So I like that. It could have been also another reason why we waited till, late third to go secondary, but all in all, I think it was a good first 3 rounds. So before we sign off, Nick, what's your grade for just the first 3 rounds?
It's a great question. I'll give it, I mean, really what this is like a huge A for Panay, like a B for Levi, an A for Slim, and like a B minus C plus for Iffy. So ultimately, like it would kind of average out to be like an A minus B. But just because there's so much weight, it's like grading, you know what I mean? You're like, your grade is 50% based on your final exam. Well, my grade is 50% based on our first round pick, and that's just going to bring it to a full swing A. Like just A. I don't care. We could have drafted Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, just Ian Book, quarterback after quarterback after quarterback after he drafted Pedeswell. And I still give it an A because that's how good of a pick that was. I cannot wait to see him in Lions uniform.
Yeah, I'm going to double down on that. I think it was an A as well. I posted no worse than like an A minus B plus. Even if one of those 4 guys bust, you still are going to have 3 very quality and a couple with a good chance of being Pro Bowl All Pro players. So Julius, what is your just first 3 rounds grade?
I've been cautiously doubting. I'm not cautiously doubting. I've been cautiously, cautious of the Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell era so far in Detroit. When it got off to a start with early free agency, he did a lot of things that I didn't expect and we're not used to in Detroit with the Lions. And I liked it, but I was scared to like it. And I was like, I got to wait till the draft. I got to wait till the draft. I got to see, this, I just can't believe it yet. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give those first 3 rounds an A plus.
We are homers, boys. We are homers.
No. They earn it. Panay Sewell, like you said, Nick, you say it's 50% of the grade. I give it like 80%. Because if he turns into a future Hall of Famer or something of the likes, then we're gonna look back at this draft with just fond memories. And then the Levi O and the Lynn McNeil double down at defensive tackle reinforces our defensive line, which I like. And I really like Iffy as a cornerback, adding to the depth of the secondary. A plus, Brad Holmes. Hear it right now. First 3 rounds.
Ooh, there we go.
I can't say that for the 4 through 7 rounds and the UDFAs. I'll save that for next week. But first 3 rounds, A plus.
We took no kick returners, hybrid running backs when we already drafted an elite running back. That's all I was happy about. We made no 5th round blunders.
No, but 7th round we took a running back and we took a return guy in the 4th.
Well,
so
Jefferson Johnson, I don't know. We'll get to him. He was, I think.
Save it. Teaser. Save it.
We'll get there. That was more teasers. If you guys like this episode, you guys can always subscribe, leave a positive comment, leave a negative comment, give us some feedback. We love the feedback. If you're a Mandalorian fan, check out Nick's awesome Baby Yoda shirts. He'll be rocking it in more episodes.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, exactly. May the 4th be with you guys. And then also, if you guys want to check us out individually on Twitter, you can find me at EverydayFFB. You can find Nick at Nick Favorite NFL, and then you can find Julius at the 5th Top. So we're all posting good Lions stuff. And then, of course, check out the Honolulu Blues podcast. Our Twitter handle, I said it weird, but it's Honolulu Blues _. That's Twitter and Instagram. And then I think that's subscribe.
Tell your friends, tell your mother.
Once we get this, the schedule drop, the exact schedule, and we see who our week 1 opponent is, we will have a giveaway going and something special planned for you guys. So once again, thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you all next week.
Go Lions.
Go Lions. Subscribe.